A Ukrainian drone clears mines from a road in Kursk. Write your thoughts in the comments. Wheelbarrow for pumping. Border Guard's UAV operators return the program to the air and pump FPV drones Russian auto industry in the Zaporozhye direction. In the final release, Border Guards also correct the point of observation of the invaders. Do you think Ukraine or Russia will win this war? The paratroopers of the 79th repulsed the night assault on their positions. Russian occupiers resort to testing new tactics. However, the aerial reconnaissance of the Maroon Berets from Mykolaiv detected the approach of the enemy column in time, and the enemy was hit by fire. As a result, the enemy lost 4 pieces of equipment and retreated. HIMARS strikes on Russian BM-27 Uragan MLRS, BM-21 Grad MLRS, and Torn MDM, electronic warfare systems, on the left bank of the Kherson region, directed by the Shark UAV. Russian tank BMP-3 blew up in a big way. Do you think the crew is alive? Most expensive target in the history of FPV application has been destroyed. Warriors of the Wings to Hell unit of the 103rd Territorial Defense Brigade in the Kupiansky direction set fire to and destroyed a Russian Tor anti-aircraft missile system using several of your drones. The cost of this is from $24 million and more. That's over 900 million hryvnias. This is at least 4 times or more than we have collected for almost 14,000 FPVs in total. An airstrike by a JDAM guided bomb on the KSP and the communication point of the Russian army in the temporarily occupied village of Vasilivka in the Zaporizhzhia region. The Russian 203mm self-propelled gun Pion and its TZM were successfully deployed as a result of the defeat of 30 DPICM cluster missiles from the Rs 3 billion HIMARS. The Ukrainian robot rarely works in the Pokrovsky direction. There were more than 10 occupiers in the tunnel. There was an FPV drone attack on this Russian vehicle. However, it received minor damage. A second FPV drone attack was made on the vehicle that tried to escape by turning back, and the vehicle was neutralized. M142, HIMARS hits Russian 39H6, Kosta 2E2 radar station in Donetsk region. The tank turret toss world record is being disputed. We have kindly been informed of this competition entry from April 2023 by the 116th Brigade of the TRO. The judges are currently evaluating the various. The turret can be seen landing after a 8-second flight. Using S equals UT plus 1/2 AT squared, this could have reached a height of 78.5 meters, which would exceed the 76 meters of the previous entry. This BMD-2 went to prevent the Cossacks from liberating the Kursk region. Boys in forgot to close the door and caught the drone in the face. Destruction of Russian armored vehicles on the Avdiivka direction. Seeing his friend blown up, the other Russian tank backed away and the room was blown up. After successful drops from the play, the paratroopers of the 79th ODS HBR forced the enemy to flee in disorder. Fighters from the Bulava Unmanned Systems Battalion of the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade, named after the Black Zaporozhians, successfully destroyed a ground-based Russian drone. In the Pokrovsky direction, soldiers of the 68th Separate Jaeger Brigade destroy a Russian armored personnel carrier with the help of your drones. On the Eastern Front, Ukrainian Fpv drones repelled Russian mechanized attacks and blew up numerous vehicles and equipment. Dozens of tanks and vehicles are blown up every day as the Russian-Ukrainian war continues at its fiercest. Russia pays millions of dollars every day for these losses. A tank of the 3rd Armored Brigade fires from 2 kilometers away with high-explosive fragmentation projectiles at enemy positions in Orlivka. The explosion of the Russian armored vehicle occurred from the first blow of the FPV throne of Ukrainian Marines. This is another proof of interesting solutions to Russian designers who installed a tank-caliber gun with an appropriate amount of ammunition for easily armored equipment. Ten enemy armored vehicles came under barrage fire from the soldiers of the 63rd and 60th Separate Mechanized Brigades. 5 tanks and 5 BMPs, sent on a suicidal assault on Ukrainian positions, were destroyed, damaged by artillery fire, and finished off by drones. Limansk direction of the front. The 79th Airborne Assault Brigade detected and destroyed the Russian Tor air defense system in Olenivka, near Donetsk. Another turtle tank, this time called Native, was destroyed in the direction of Urozhain. Another sortie of the Russian armored group in Avdiivka. Mines, ATGMs, FPV drones, at least 2 Russian BMPs and 2 tanks were lost. Only in this one video, there are 8 military vehicles. 1 fell, it happens, not a big deal, we can laugh, but in Avdiivka, it's not funny right now. Straight into the hatch. A drone of the 53rd Brigade neutralizes a Russian tank. Didn't make it to Berlin. FPV from the 117th Separate Mechanized Brigade destroys the supercam of the Russians in the Zaporizhzhia direction. National Guardsmen destroy an enemy Buk M1 air defense system with a precise strike from a UAV. The Russian mechanized assault on the Kharkiv direction was crushed. The 79th Air Assault Brigade destroyed 2 tanks and 6 armored vehicles with infantry, and another enemy tank was damaged. The detonation of a Russian tank's ammunition supply as a result of an FPV drone strike in the Donetsk region. Successful removal of a mine barrier by the crew of a Russian tank. This is the 3rd time I've seen the Russians perform this anti-mine maneuver in the last week. Ukrainian forces repel Russian assault in Kharkiv region. A Russian military column advancing towards Ukrainian positions in the Kharkiv region was intercepted and destroyed by Ukrainian forces. The 3rd Assault Squadron's pilots spotted the column in time, allowing Ukrainian brigade units to respond swiftly. An immediate airstrike disabled an enemy tank, and as the remaining Russian forces attempted to retreat, additional strikes were launched. Even before further strikes, Russian infantry began to flee. The Russian tank, acting fearlessly alone, was attacked unexpectedly. Panicked with fear, tank quickly reversed and left the road. The seriously injured soldiers could not move, and with a massive attack, the tank was completely blown up. A Russian BM-21 Grad was hit near the city of Gryvoron, in the territory of the Belgorod region of Rutsia, 10 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, by the fighters of the RDK using a drone. Kyiv Post, with reference to the spectacular footage of a Ukrainian FPV drone hitting a field ammunition depot located under a destroyed tank. Mariinka direction. Spectacular footage of the defeat of the Russian BTR-82A by a strike from the Javelin ATGM in the Donetsk region. Last week, SBU soldiers were destroyed. 10 tanks, 33 BBM, 18 artillery systems, 4 air defense systems, and an EW, 219 vehicles, 25 UAVs, and 22 antennas, 148 fortifications, 2 warehouses with ammunition, 176 Russian soldiers. It is not enough for the occupiers to deliver ammunition to the positions, because even when they succeed, our soldiers destroy their warehouses. 128 OGS HBR works in the Zaporizhzhia direction. Airstrikes on Russian positions on the eastern outskirts of Veseloye, Kursk region of Russia. It is declared as the destruction of another Russian TOS-1 Solntsepek in the Zaporozhye direction. In the Kursk region, drones of the 47th Mechanized Brigade are destroying all tanks, armored personnel carriers, motorcycles, and cars in their path. It takes a lot of skill to hit moving vehicles with pinpoint accuracy. These very small FPV drones are very fast and highly maneuverable. Ukrainian aviation drops a pair of bombs on the location of Russian troops in New York, Donetsk region. Destruction of Russian BMD-4M in the Kursk region. North Korean 170mm Koksan self-propelled artillery systems in the Kursk region of Russia. North Korean artillery is now used to fire shells in mainland Europe. M142. HIMARS destroys a Russian Buk M3 SAM launcher in the Kursk region. Before the strike, the system's operators made an unsuccessful attempt to shoot down a Ukrainian Armed Forces reconnaissance UAV. If a person has never flown a FPV drone, especially one equipped with ammunition, they will never understand how challenging it is. That's why such videos are really cool. On the Avdiivka direction. Suicide of a group of Russian infantry. Russians hid in a destroyed APC. The 47th Brigade rectified the situation and hit that APC with its filling. That's how the Russians raked out the soldiers of the 57th Motorized Infantry Brigade and your drones in Volchansk. Strikes on armored vehicles, including hidden ones, and also with meat dynamic protection. Ukrainian tankers from the 59th Motorized Brigade shooting directly at Russian positions near Sukharine. One long-range Lancet soldiers of the Central Security Service of Ukraine within the framework of the Heavenly Russo-Riz program shot down a kamikaze drone Izdalie 51, which was flying to attack our people. Ukrainian kamikaze drones hit Russian Buk M3 and Buk M1 air defense systems in the eastern direction. The Ivan 2M armored car failed to protect Russian soldiers. How safe do you think it is to travel on a tank like this? What's the alternative? FPV drone pilots are working great as always. Would you like to be a FPV drone pilot, or have you ever used a drone in your life? It is difficult to use drones, but it is much more difficult to use FPV drones. It requires a lot of talent, attention, skill, and steady work. Especially if you are a military drone pilot, you can even change the course of the war. HIMARS strike on the 9T452 loading machine for the BM-27 Hurricane. I understand better and better every day how effective weapons FPV drones are. I think they are the most powerful, fastest, and cheapest combat tool of modern warfare in land warfare. What do you think? Write your thoughts in the comments. Vehicles exploded, safe havens exploded, soldiers taking a break are attacked, a vehicle hiding in a bush is blown up, road mines were detonated, mission accomplished. It was easy to blow up the Russian tank, which alone in the middle of the field made it an easy target. Do you think the crew of the tank is alive? Powerful footage of the shooting of a column of Russian armored vehicles by a Ukrainian tank of the 58th Separate Motorized Infantry Brigade, named after Hetman Ivan Vyhovsky, near Staromlynivka in the Berdyansk direction. We know this very well. It is almost impossible for tanks to escape from FPV drones. So if a Russian tank and a Ukrainian tank face each other, which tank can defeat the other? Which tank is stronger than the other? The Russians deployed around 50 pieces of equipment for a massive assault in the Kursk region. The enemy attacks came in 6 waves, involving tanks, BMP-2s, BTRs, BMDs, buggies, and Lancet strike drones. The soldiers of the 47th Mechanized Brigade, together with adjacent units, repelled the assault, destroying enemy equipment worth tens of millions of dollars. Pobeda Village, Pokrovsk direction. Rusians storm our positions with 27 units of equipment. The 33rd Mechanized Brigade successfully repelled the attack and destroyed 16 military vehicles and 60 Russians. Why do Russian tanks explode so easily? Are Ukrainian drones too strong or Russian tanks too weak? Write your thoughts in the comments. Is there any way to stop FPV drones? Russians are being captured on the territory of the Kursk region. .501 BMP captures 2 Russians in the Kursk region of Russia. Location: Apanasovka, Kursk region. Ukrainian FPV drones continue to attack Russian vehicles unabated. Who do you think will be the winner of this war? More importantly, when do you think this war will end? 1 armored personnel carrier and 1 infantry fighting vehicle were destroyed. Another infantry fighting vehicle was hit. A Chinese golf car and tank were burned, and infantry was packed. As Russian tanks and armored vehicles advanced in columns, they were shaken by artillery shelling from the 47th Mechanized Brigade. Communicating with drones, the 47th Artillery attacked Russian armored vehicles with 122mm howitzers and mortars. The armored vehicle, which panicked during the attack, went off the road and turned over. The drones provided accurate calculations and information, which enabled the artillery to strike with pinpoint accuracy. The Russian troops were dispersed and repulsed. Nine Russian drone operators were killed by a drone strike in Okaratyne-Pokrovsk sector. Do you think the Russian soldiers made it out of that building alive? An attempt by the Russians to break through from Mariinka was stopped by FPV drones of the 33rd OMBR destroyed. 2 IFV, 2 tanks and infantry. Do you think medieval wars were more brutal, or modern wars are more brutal and horrible? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Four Russian tanks and vehicles worth millions of dollars were destroyed with only a few $100s worth of FPV drones. FPV drones have become almost the most powerful, fastest, and most effective weapons in modern land warfare. Fast, powerful, and almost unstoppable. What do you think? Rayrog Battalion of the 24th Separate Mechanized Brigade destroyed the Russian T-80 BVM tank with your thick drones. How resistant do you think Russian tanks are against FPV drones? How do you think tanks can develop a defense mechanism against drones? In order to break through the defense of the 79th Tavrian Assault Brigade in the area of the village of Kostiantynivka in Donetsk region, the occupiers threw 11 armored fighting vehicles with infantry, supported by 8 tanks, into battle. 72nd Mechanized Brigade of AFU showed footage by its strike UAV operators working near Vuhledar. If you like our videos and the sound effects we add to them, please don't forget to like the video and leave a comment. A nighttime FPV drone strike on a Russian Panzer S-1 air defense system in the Kherson region. Almost successful but failed attempt of a Ukrainian FPV drone to shoot down a Ka-52 attack helicopter of the Russian Air Force in the Donetsk region. A coal train has derailed in Yakutia in the Russian Federation. The incident occurred yesterday on the Elga-Ulak track, where 39 cars with coal derailed. 200 to 250 meters of track are blocked. A large amount of special equipment is needed to fix it. There seem to be a lot of derailments in Russia.
Локомотив 029 с 16-го разъезда применил экстренное торможение на 12 километрах в час.
44th Separate Artillery Brigade destroyed 2 enemy self-propelled artillery units, 257 Pion, multiple rocket launcher system BM-21 Grad, and self-propelled artillery unit 2S-19 MST-S. Adjustments were made using UAV Shark. FPV drones have destroyed the Russian tank T-90M Breakthrough. The crew of the Samosud unit of the UAV Shark 11, brigade of the NGU on the left bank of Kherson region engaged the tank when it was trying to attack our soldiers. The soldiers of the 406th Artillery Brigade detected the vehicle using the Shark complex. Ukrainian paratroopers carried out a drone attack on a vehicle in the direction of Kharkiv. The infantrymen in the vehicle drove away, entering a densely forested area. A second drone attack was carried out on the vehicle left by the infantrymen, and the vehicle was destroyed. A drone operator who noticed a Russian vehicle abandoned on the road but in working condition attacked and destroyed it. After the Russian infantry fighting vehicle was spotted by Ukrainian paratroopers, it was immediately attacked in quick succession. The Russian vehicle, which then tried to hide in the bushes, was rendered unusable as a result of repeated drone strikes. US APC and Russian BMP vehicles were neutralized from these attacks. The T-90M Russian tank could not get out of its hole and became an easy target for the drone. It was completely destroyed. The occupiers published a video of how they hit the Kharkov region with Grad directly from the road in the Belgorod region. Attack using AASM-250 Hammer aerial bombs on positions with Russian soldiers in the Kharkiv region. Destruction of Russian armored vehicles in Volchansk by your dragons. Work of soldiers of the Falcon Squad 57 Motorized Infantry Brigade. Heavy unmanned aerial vehicle Vampire of border guards of the Kramatorsk detachment brought warmth to the occupiers in the Vovchan direction at night. These night flashes were created with the help of Russian BM-21 Grad, a tank and an infantry fighting vehicle, which were blown up by fighters of the 68th Separate Hunter Brigade. How a column of Russian invaders was destroyed near Kleshchievka. What do you think is the easiest way to destroy tanks? Write your opinion in the comments. The 65th Separate Motorized Infantry Brigade's SUV was attacked immediately after being spotted by Ukrainian paratroopers. As a result of the drone attack, 2 Russian infantrymen got out of the damaged vehicle and ran into the woods to hide. They then tried to hide in the ruined bunker, but a second drone attack took place. A drone attack on a gas station in the Zaporizhia region. A huge flame rose into the sky as gasoline and diesel tanks exploded. This station was supplying gasoline to Russian vehicles and crews. Masters of the Special Unit Wings of the Department of Active Operations of the Military District of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine discovered and destroyed a Russian artillery position in the Zaporizhia region. To eliminate the enemy target, the scouts used 2 Darts kamikaze aircraft with 3-kilogram combined ammunition and 3 Babai heavy FPVs with 1.5-kilogram cumulative shots. Ukrainian FPV drone paratroopers carried out a well-calculated attack on bunkers and warehouses. Even though the drones did not penetrate the bunker, they terrorized the people inside. The bunkers contain infantry and various military equipment. Since the explosives on the drones are not enough to blow up the bunkers, they cannot completely destroy the bunkers. In the direction of Kramatorsk, Ukrainian drone operators launched a FPV drone attack on a Russian armored vehicle and destroyed it. They also dropped bombs from the air. The moving vehicle was attacked by a drone and had to pull over to the side of the road. It was then completely destroyed as a result of the bombs dropped one after the other. Drone operators from the 68th Jaeger Brigade dropped a grenade onto a pile of anti-tank mines, causing a powerful explosion. How can a grenade explode so big? In occupied Feodosia, drones hit not an ordinary oil depot, but an important transshipment hub for Russians. An oil port that can receive tankers with oil products all year round, store them and supply them to the entire occupied Crimea. In the event of serious damage, the logistics of oil products in the occupied Crimea will be shifted to railways and highways, which will greatly complicate it. SBUs work with FPV drones. Among the destroyed vehicles, there was a rare specimen, the Terminator. How long do you think Russian tanks can withstand Ukrainian FPV drones? Do you think Russian tanks are doomed? Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to like the video. Soldiers of the demolition team in the Kursk region destroyed the following: a gun, a motorcycle, a cannon, a moving tank crashed, and many more. The fire at the oil depot in Engels still cannot be extinguished. Destruction of a column of Russian armed forces on the Kupiansk direction. 6 BMPs with infantry hit. Russian Olympians break long and high jump records. Russian vehicles and tanks continue to explode. It is almost impossible to escape Ukrainian FPV drones. How many people can do it? Footage of the defeat of the Russian assault groups, which tried to repulse the positions near the village of Kruglenko, Kursk Oblast. The Russian convoy was spotted by Ukrainian FPV drones and immediately attacked. Russian tanks were blown up one by one. Some lucky soldiers managed to escape at the last moment. They prayed to God at breakfast. The Ministry of Defense published a video of a direct artillery hit on a tank. Probably the entire crew lost their lives. Destruction of Russian BM-21 Grad in the Zaporizhzhia region. The brave soldiers of the Griffin 501 FPV unit are using their trusty drones to take down Russian cannon fodder and their shelters on the territory of the so-called Young PRC. Kursk region is one of the few areas where Russians actively use armored vehicles, and they lose it. The Chimera unit hit an armored vehicle of the Ural military-industrial complex on the move and 2 BMDs. Another BMD was destroyed. In this short video, I want to show how Ukrainian soldiers spend their day, what they do, and how they carry out their operations. Could you join the war? Were medieval wars harder or modern wars harder? Write your thoughts in the comments. Toretsk, once a flourishing city, now wiped off the face of the earth. Another Russian T-80 tank burned by the FPV drone operated by the Garuda 46 Brigade unit. Ukrainian tank crews from the 17th Heavy Mechanized Brigade are attacking Russian infantry in the Kursk region. The Russian vehicle, which wanted to advance towards Ukrainian positions, was attacked while continuing on its way after dropping off the soldiers. Although the soldiers got out of the vehicle and tried to hide in forested areas and shelters, they could not escape the drone attack. Drones can attack day and night, because drones have night vision and heat-sensitive cameras. In this way, it can easily see its target and carry out an accurate attack. Hiding in ruined houses does not seem enough to escape drones. Even if you are in an armored vehicle or tank, you may suddenly be attacked by a drone. If the drone is able to attack the engine part of the vehicle, it can cause considerable damage and completely destroy the vehicle. In the direction of Toretsk, tanks of the 12th Azov Brigade attacked Russian positions and positions. In areas where artillery fire is difficult and drones are difficult to attack, the tanks maneuvered well and launched powerful attacks. The Azov Brigade has played an important role in the conflict in eastern Ukraine and has attracted international attention, both for its military achievements and ideological debates. It was established in 2014 as a volunteer militia to fight against pro-Russian separatists and was later incorporated into the National Guard of Ukraine. The armed forces of Ukraine attacked the Russian marine oil terminal in Feodosia, occupied Crimea, General Staff. The Feodosia terminal is used in particular for the needs of the Russian army. In the direction of Kurakovsky, a Russian drone was destroyed in mid-air by another Ukrainian drone, a professional drone pilot. The downing of a Russian Lancet drone. M142. HIMARS destroys the Russian SuperCam UAV calculation. "47th. Separate Mechanized Brigade has shown the combat operation of M1 Abrams tanks in the Avdiivka direction. After the Russians successfully struck the planes once in the Dnipro region, they attempted it again. The Orlan with the latest arrived, filmed a pompous video of them hitting the Su-25 and started circulating it everywhere, but people online discovered it was a mock-up. Firstly, it's about the cockpit and its strange color and shape. Secondly, in the footage, you can see that the wings overlap the air intakes, although on a normal Su-25, the wing merges into the air intake. In the northern direction, Ukrainian border guards destroyed a Russian infantry fighting vehicle. The drone operator entered the vehicle with the door open and ensured that the vehicle was destroyed by fire. Drones and tanks of the 12th Brigade Azov are dismantling the occupiers, repelling a mechanized assault. Russian assault group launched an attack on the positions of the defense forces in the Toretsk direction. For the attack, the enemy used several units of armored vehicles, including BMPs and MTLBs. Operators of the strike drones from the 12th Special Purpose Azov Brigade began targeting enemy units as they approached the defenders' positions. The combat crew of the Azov Tank Battalion also joined in. The enemy continues its attempts to advance in the Toretsk direction. The Azov forces are doing everything they can to hold off the enemy and destroy as many targets as possible. Russian tanks and Russian vehicles, which became easy in open terrain, were destroyed one by Ukrainian FPV drone pilots. Subscribe and like the video for this and similar videos. Defense forces in the south neutralized the Russian 9K317 Buk M3 air defense system. Another rare Russian reconnaissance UAV Merlin was shot down. As seen in this video, FPV drones have completely changed the course of war. It is possible to destroy or render unusable tanks worth millions of dollars with a $500 drone. Or it is possible to locate hiding soldiers and blow up a building or a hut. What are your thoughts about FPV drones? Write in the comments.